and Australia's broadcast watchdog has thrown the book at Triple M over sexist commentary aimed at the Matildas. The Australian Communications and Media Authority, also known as ACMA, has found that former radio host Marty Sheargold and several Triple M stations breached the commercial radio code of practice. Now, the ruling stems from an on-air rant in February that Sheargold made about the Matildas. Here's what he said.
In football or soccer, it's been a nightmare tournament for the Matildas over the last 3 or 4 days over in the US.
You know what they remind me of? Year 10 girls. Now, I'm sorry to undermine the whole sport, but that's what I think of it, so you can stick it up your ass.
So we're playing in the She Believes Cup.
Oh, she believes in what? It better be men.
We're 12 months out from Australia hosting the Women's Asian Cup, so hopefully we have a bit of runway to improve before that comes around.
The Asian Cup. I'd rather hammer a nail through the head of my watch that. Got any men's sport?
Yeah, I do. Baseball.
Now, ACMA found those remarks demeaning, sarcastic, demonstrating contempt and disdain for women's sport, and more generally of women. Football Australia, sports figures and the public condemned it. Sheargold and Triple M apologised. His show was cancelled and they mutually agreed to part ways. ACMA is now mulling enforcement action. Now, this could be warnings to potential changes in licence conditions. But let me read out this quote from Authority member Carolyn Leaderwood, who said the demeaning and insulting language used by the host went beyond generally acceptable standards of decency. She said sexist comments like this don't belong in Australian broadcasting. Even if the comments were an extremely ill-judged attempt at humour, a reasonable listener would have found them offensive and to have crossed the line. I find it quite interesting when someone in a position like this tells us what the listener would have found. Because the people listening to Marty Sheargold's show like Marty Sheargold. And I actually don't think the majority of his listeners would have had a problem with that. You can disagree with it. I can disagree with it. But why isn't he allowed to make an observation that he believes? See, we think we're a democracy. But then we have this where the woke left turn around and tell us what we can and can't say. Yes, there were complaints. People rose up. Triple M sacked him. I think it was all just ridiculous. I think the reaction to this was ridiculous. I think you guys know I'm a big believer in free speech. So let me show you what I said 6 months ago when Sheargold first made the comments. This was my reaction to his sacking on Inside Media. But I do have an issue with the decision by Southern Cross Austereo to sack Sheargold. SCA is the owner of Triple M. If you want people to share their views and make jokes, you must accept that some of those views and jokes might not sit well with some sections of the public. My biggest question is, what did Marty Sheargold's listeners think? If they disagreed with those comments and the shocking and factually incorrect one he made about endometriosis, were they going to stop listening, or were they more likely to think, okay, whatever, Marty? A democratic society means having to accept some people have different views to your own. And look, I am no fan of Sheargold. He once embarrassed me on the air by talking about how boring I was when we had coffee once. But I do support his right to say things that people might find offensive. Nothing should be off limits when it comes to comedy. Whether people laugh or not is another thing, but sacking someone because of a 24-hour backlash? Quite frankly, it's just weak. The issue would have died down and his ratings would have remained the same. Sheargold's audience know what to expect from him, and I'm sure they would be upset he's no longer on the air. Couldn't have said it better myself. I have so many problems with the things ACMA does. I think they're so out of touch it isn't funny. They think they're I guess they are the deciders of what's fit for broadcast, but this is why YouTube is taking off. YouTube is now the #1 streaming service in Australia. People like me are doing these shows because it's a safe place to share your views. No one can cancel me, right? I can do this for as long as I want or as long as Amanda will let me. And this will be the final episode of McKnight Tonight. Do you know what I mean? We have these panel discussions and it's all vanilla because everyone is too afraid to say anything. And the biggest problem is the companies won't support them. ACMA's threatening what did they say? They're deciding what they're going to do, right? They're mulling enforcement action from warnings to potential changes in license to conditions. Well, first of all, let's part my views about ACMA's ruling. But is that why give a warning or anything? Triple M sacked him. Like, they had an issue. Does ACMA want Triple M to go back in time and stop him from doing it? He was a professional broadcaster entrusted to broadcast. So what is the point ACMA are trying to make here? They got their pound of flesh. The guy was sacked. So why does Triple M have to face more punishment? They lost a popular presenter, someone who rated really well. This is just, I don't understand the idea. And why couldn't you, when you know, they love a press release and they love to put this out to show. Let me be very clear about something. ACMA love to put press releases out to show that they're doing something about it, to justify their funding and their position. There's nothing to be done here. Triple M took care of it, even though I think it was all overreaction. We need to get a grip in this country. You know, things go too far in America where people are being killed for their opinions. In Australia, we can't even say anything without getting sacked or getting a warning from ACMA. Like, it's just ridiculous. We need some balance.
Here comes McKnight Tonight.
All right, before we finish up for the week, why don't we have a back-end quickie? What do you reckon? Actually, I'm in the mood for more than one. Let's have a double back-end quickie. What do you reckon? I'm sorry. Oh. I wish, I don't know if that came through on the mics, but God, it was funny from Amanda. Oh my God, that was funny. All right, last night I talked about how bigger fines don't change driver behaviour. Well, the residents of one town found a unique way to make drivers slow down at a crossing. No police needed, no big fines, just a bit of smart thinking.
Whoever came up with this idea is a genius. In Vancouver, they designed one of the most effective ways to make cars stop at crosswalks. Instead of just relying on signs, people are encouraged to pick up a brick placed nearby. Because when drivers see someone holding one, they instantly stop.
How clever is that? Not funny, just interesting. But this next one is so simple, you don't even see it coming.
Would you take a picture of me and my friend real quick?
Sure.
Fun, insightful interviews from a watchdog producer with nothing to lose. McKnight Tonight. McKnight Tonight. McKnight Tonight. It's good night from McKnight Tonight.